I can tell you if you haven't heard, I suppose. But it might be smarter not to ask and go with her to eat desserts. Hey now, you've already gotten my full attention here. I'm not going to leave out asking at this point.
I think Keiichi has the right to hear this too. My sister was just stealing that from him.
Shion's voice was bristling with thorns as if somehow blaming Mion. What on earth are you talking about? I don't really like people acting as though self-important. Takano-san, realizing how prepared I was, looked across the group. After confirming that there were no objections, she opened her mouth.
Do you believe in curses, my Baraku?
Curses? I think they're interesting, but not really. I felt their cynical stares and winced. It was like they were telling me it was stranger not to believe in curses.
You're not wrong, Kei-chan. Curses are just superstition. It's only natural that you wouldn't believe it.
Besides, you can take all the time you need. That's probably Mion.
Besides, you can take all the time you need to decide whether to believe in curses after you've read us through.
Said Takano-san, giving a little smile. They're trying to scare me. At least that's what it feels like. Alright, I'll start. Keiichi-kun, do you know about the Higurashi Dam project? Oh yeah, the old head angel of Shion or Mion probably told me all about it.
Why is he saying Shion or Mion? It was clearly Shion.
You mean the plan for the giant dam that would flood all of Higurashi, right? That's right. Residents of the town banded together to fight it, and a fierce battle with the government unfolded. I've heard that too. The entire village united, using all the power at their disposal, massive media, political influence, and all things in the country. The way Mion described it made it sound like a boast. Oh, you know quite a bit about it. Yes, you're right. It's frankly an epic tale, just how just 1,000 or so villagers banded together and rejected the government's plans.
Did you hear this from my sister? She likes those kind of epics, you know.
Yeah, she told me. There was, however, an office for the Higurashi residents' opposition faction. Is this right?
Maybe that was Shion that said that, I don't know. You know, the assembly hall, that's where it used to be. Now that the whole thing is over, the senior citizens just use it for group activities. At the time, though, it was their last bastion.
Takano-san explained this, pointing a finger towards the assembly hall. I had been carrying things in and out of there all day. I mean, I would understand if they put an office like that in the mayor's house or something. But having an office on shrine grounds made it feel kind of like a base camp for Sengoku period warriors. That was basically the mindset, though. Placing the main force in a shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama, Higurashi guardian deity, was like a prayer for victory. Oyashiro-sama, that was definitely it. They mentioned Oyashiro-sama's curse before. Is it the same Oyashiro-sama? Well, how many Oyashiro-samas do you know?
You know about Oyashiro-sama, Keiichi. It's the name of the god worshipped at this shrine. It's said that he protects all of Higurashi.
Well, I don't really know much about him.
I see.
I think Takano-san knows more about the rest.
God damn it! You're supposed to appear on the screen, Tomitake. You probably would have wanted this as well.
Tak, you're it.
Well, that is generally the whole story. Oyashiro-sama is ancient god passed down in Higurashi. The villagers say he has been protecting his sanctuary from the poisons of the outside world.
So essentially it's a basic standard guardian deity. I guess you can find that sort of god anywhere you go.
There's research into whether worshipping Oyashiro-sama is a manifestation of a kind of elitism too. What I mean is the worshippers might think of themselves as chosen people.
Isn't that quite common though? Like religion, really. Like not everyone's all like elitism about it, you know, it's like, oh, we are the ones. The true religion. Everyone else, they're fucked. You know, there are people more open-minded, you know, like that. But that's what I came to mind with that. Just like where people are like, oh, you were burned in hell. It's just like, you're being a complete asshole to people. How aren't you the one going to hell then, huh? It's just like, and how do you know whether it exists or not? And they're like, oh no, don't go there, man, not religion. That's one of those subjects. It's kind of like politics, really. It's one of those subjects that just like leads to a whole lot of shit. I mean, have you ever seen anyone discussing religion or politics on the internet? Freaking, it just boils down to a lot of name calling in the end, because it's like you can't have a reasonable freaking debate about shit. Just like, it's essentially like flinging shit at each other. It's like, no, I disagree with your opinion, so I will throw shit in your general direction. Anyways, believing yourself chosen, the nationalistic belief that you are part of a superior race, or that you're a special clan chosen by the gods. I guess another one for that is Nazis. You know, it's a big difference compared to, you know, the other example, isn't it? But yeah, that's another form of elitism. To a more extreme, really, that, isn't it? They believe that they're a superior clan, so they believe strongly in cooperating bowlers, but they also end up being exclusively revolutionary towards the other clans. I won't go into too much detail, but it's the sort of national and religious ideas that led to war. Yes. I would say, you know, World War II is an example, which technically is, you know, but there are probably plenty of wars, really. Actually, that's kind of wars in a nutshell, really, isn't it? It's usually like, at its base, it's usually about, like, power and shit like that. With a bit of, like, that stuff thrown in it. But usually the nationality kind of thing and religious kind of stuff is usually just to kind of, like, get the people on this side. You're like, okay, we're gonna have a war here, right? So we need to convince you that this war is right. So we're gonna be like, we're gonna put in this context and hope you buy this shit. And just like, oh yeah, we're okay with this. Like, no, we're not okay with this. You fucking bastards going to war for your own freaking interests. It's like, what are we fighting for? Resources. Shit like that. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Of course, that goes for Japan too. And the thing about it, like World War II, it's like were they known as the Axis power? I know that it had Germany, obviously, the Nazis. You had Italy, and it was Japan as well. It's really quite extraordinary when you think about it. World War II wasn't even 100 years ago. I just think of like how the world is now compared to it was then. It's like things have kind of like mended a lot since then, isn't it? There's still like, you know, like some kind of bitterness here and there between like countries that were on opposite sides of the wars and all that. For the most part, it's kind of like always. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I don't know. I just find it kind of interesting. It's like time heals wounds in a way, sort of, or mends these relationships between countries that were once at each other's throats. I think all the times freaking England and France have been at it. It's just like. Nowadays, it's more of like, well, you could see it more as just like, how to describe it? Like banter between them, like nothing serious for the most part. There probably are some cases where people are like, oh, I hate the French. For real, it's like, why? Because, oh shit, why do I hate the French? I don't know. It's like that thing, isn't it? It's like self-taught type of thing. It's like just like you hate these people because of what they did in the past, not thinking about how they are in the present. When you know it's the present that matters. Think of the past. The past is there. Like, don't forget like the past, because it's like the whole, you know, Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it and shit like that. So don't forget that, but you know, it's like what's now and the future that counts. I know I'm going off into quite a ramble there, aren't I? But yeah. A long time ago, the people of enemy's house strongly believed themselves different from humans, that they were above them. They believed that interaction with the lower world would sully their souls. So everyone believed that if one from the lower world came to the village, they should be sullied and suffer the wrath of Oyashiro-sama. Apparently that kept everyone away. Villagers that hate outsiders come up all the time in Keiichi and others. This was once a run-of-the-mill village of xenophobes. Now that's always a thing, really, isn't it? Well, no, I'm thinking of a different type of thing. I'm thinking like villages that have rivalries with each other. Just like, oh, you're from that village? Well, you suck. But it's like, I don't know. It's more of rivalry that rather than full-on xenophobia. I don't really get xenophobia, really. It's just like, it just doesn't make sense to me, really. It's like, so much pride in your country that you like look down on the rest of the world. Why? You just happen to be born in this country or that country, doesn't matter. It's like, fair enough to have some goddamn pride in your country, but don't like let it get to your head to the point where you look down on the rest of the world's countries, like, and their people. It makes no sense to me. Well, they'll deny it preserved their pride. It was all a long time ago, after all. Things are different now. Shion followed up quickly, having sensed the thorns in Tomitake-san's words. It's kind of like when I was rambling on there. It's just like, oh yeah, there was all that happened throughout history. It's like, oh, things are better now, obviously. It's like different, yeah. You know, that's all kind of like healed up for the most part. Makes you wonder, like, what, like in the future, like, I don't know, would like countries that are like enemies now suddenly like have mended relationships somewhere in the future? I don't know. It's kind of weird. Tomitake-san and Mary said what he said, scratched at his head. So this shrine worships Oyashiro-sama, thinks the Nimzara is holy ground, and it's a symbol of their traditional hatred of the outside world. Now it's making me think of fricking Final Fantasy X. You know, with their whole like Yevon thing, and they're just like, they are bad heathens! Just like they're looking down them just because they don't follow the teachings. It's like, it's all your fault! It's just like, that's a sense of elitism right there, isn't it? I get it, so that's why they chose the Shrine of Inamizawa's guardian spirit as their base of operations to resist the solid dam construction project that came from the outside. That was a long sentence. Correct. Correct, smiled Topner, pleased. She must dislike stupid people. What is that saying? Doesn't fools gladly? Something like that. Such an odd sounding saying. Who is speaking? Yes, probably are them. Superstition, every last bit of it. The villagers gave everything, desperate to oppose the dam construction. Right in the midst of it, the instant drove home the finishing blow. Oyashiro-sama's curse. I don't know who the hell said that now, to be honest. The person managing the construction side of the Higurashi Dam was murdered. 4 years ago, I believe. It took the newspapers by storm. Do you remember it? No, not really. He had a fight with a subordinate and was beaten to death with a pickaxe. Limbs and head were torn off and the remains disposed of. One of those dismemberments homicides. They were all the rage at one point. It's like, oh, they were all the rage, those homicides, weren't they? It's like, well, that shit gets reported all the time, but like, just thinking, like if you look at any newspaper on online news thing, like any given time you'd find cases like that. But I suppose there would be, points in time throughout the history of media where there'd be like points where it's like, oh man, we gotta constantly be like up in your face for this stuff. I suppose it's kind of on and off with them, isn't it? Such a gruesome incident. But it's just that, an incident. The person caused the incident after all. Did they really put it down to the curse? Then the following year, the man who had organized Hinamizawa's group of dam opponents, he fell from a cliff while on vacation and died. Apparently it was an accident. Of course, most of Hinamizawa was hostile towards him. The police were all over the case as if it were a homicide, but in the end, it was judged to have been an accident. Now it's an accident. This is the most curse-like one, but it's still far-fetched. And then on the next year, this time the priest of the shrine contracted an unknown illness and suddenly died. This may sound a little rude, but the old priest was kind of a wait-and-see type. The whole village was in an uproar about the dam, but he just kind of didn't seem to want to bother. The shrine was the symbol of the opposition movement, and his priest, well, his attitude worked against him. The villagers at the time had hoped for a leader, but their hopes were betrayed. Some people were apparently pretty angry too. So at the time, all the older people were like, this is Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's what they said. It did seem like every year dam-related people in the village resented towards him dying. It was pretty creepy. Oh, and also, it's interesting all these incidents and accidents always happened on the night of the Watanagashi festival. What? That was delayed, wasn't it? See, it's starting to sound like a curse now, isn't it? Then the year after that. In other words, last year, the sister-in-law of the man who was the leader of the dam proponents, the one who accidentally died, was discovered dead, having been beaten to death. Of course, they caught that criminal. See, it really seemed like a curse, huh? 4 years in a row. Each one of the incidents and accidents were relatively commonplace. Wait, 4 years. How would I confirm this? Where is it? Yeah, she can mean 4, and she can also mean death in Japanese. How fitting is that? 4 years in a row of deaths. How fitting. It's no wonder why they're superstitious with 4th floors, isn't it? I think China's also the same, but they use the same kanji characters. Maybe it's, in that case, used for the same word. I don't know. But it's definitely there in Japanese, because, same pronunciation, different character. But every single one of each one of the incidents and accidents were relatively commonplace, but every single one of them happening on the night of the festival worshipping Oyashiro-sama. That's not normal. The old folks have been blindly accepting Oyashiro-sama's curse because of the incidents these past few years. Even younger people too. At first they thought it was stupid, but now nobody makes fun of it. Yeah, I can see where it's coming from. Even me, even if I didn't think there was a curse at all, thinking about all the incidents like this makes me feel like maybe it's real. For example, just look at the preparation for the festivals you were doing today. Everything might have gone crazy during the battle against the dam, but just a few years ago, the Watanagashi festival was never this well attended. Well attended? Well, I guess you're right. If we didn't have Oyashiro-sama to talk about, we wouldn't all be coming to a festival like this, huh? There's a lot of people who say that infidels might be punished as they really need to go to Oyashiro-sama's festival. Shion nodded as if she were mocking herself. So how about now, Keiichi? You're starting to get the feeling that maybe the curse is real, aren't you? I mean, you can't just laugh off people related to the dam construction project all dying like that. If even I feel like this now, then the more superstitious members of the village must feel stronger than that. Well, I mean, I still don't think there's a curse. I can understand those that believe there is, though.
Okay, you can really keep a cool head about this. Shion grinned, realizing I'd rejected the curse. If it's neither a curse nor a coincidence, then what should we make of these incidents? Takano said, smiling playfully as if posing a riddle. Neither a curse nor a coincidence, but every year someone dies. What should we make of that, then? Tomitake-san, catching on to the fact that I had no idea what to make of it, opened his mouth and came to my aid. Takano-san is suggesting that it might be the work of real people. Eh? Simple process of elimination would have got me there. I was a little taken aback and not having realized the answer immediately. Well, think about it. If it's neither a curse nor coincidence, then people must be willingly carrying it out. It's the only explanation, right? First, Takano-san, I smiled bitterly in spite of myself. Here I was just a few minutes ago thinking the very concept of a curse was absolutely absurd. And so now he's probably thinking, damn it, I should have just gone with Mion. When she suggested it was someone's doing, I ended up thinking there wasn't any way it could be a person. But Takano-san was right. It's either a curse or it was a person doing. I really feel like that side of office, that's terrible. You start making into apologies behind it. Very well, guys. I'm going to show you. Why did I talk in voice? The culprit's a person, then. They'd have to be someone from himself. That's what a police officer or Oyashiro-sama thinks right now, too. Hey, wait. That can't be. I thought I now knew the reason Mion didn't want to talk about this. Well, Oyashiro-sama's curse really existed, and that's fine. It would be divine judgment for the damn project business. However, Oyashiro-sama's curse didn't exist, which it obviously didn't, and the culprit would most likely be someone from Hinamizawa. The villagers had worked desperately to oppose the damn construction project. I knew they had used all sorts of methods to fight against it. One of those methods was, maybe... People whisper that Oyashiro-sama's curse would be the doing of a secret group in the damn resistance movement. Could be. Shion dryly put words to my exact thoughts. Of course I didn't expect it. She was from Hinamizawa, so I didn't think she'd come out and say it herself. To calm down and think about it, anyone would come to the same conclusion. There wouldn't be a motive for anyone but people who benefit from opposing the damn project, right? Yes, that's true. But then to the existence of the darker side of the damn conflict would be rude to Mion, who spoke of it so highly. So I couldn't just accept Shion's seemingly logical viewpoint. One more thing, the police probably don't know this. There's proof that someone from Hinamizawa committed these crimes, and the people of Hinamizawa know it. What? Shion rebukes me to keep me most in. Sorry, but it's proof. What is it? The fact that one person dies and one more person disappears. One more person disappears. Does that mean that someone besides the one who died from the curse was a sacrifice? What do you mean by disappear? They just vanish and you never see them again? That's right. Suddenly and without a trace. As she spoke, Shion began to do a trick with her hands like she was making a magician's hat disappear. One dies a mysterious death and one disappears, never to be seen again. A strange vanishing act. But then why? How does that equate to someone from Hinamizawa being the culprit? Well, actually, Hinamizawa has this one really old legend. It's about how people offer sacrifices to Oyashiro-sama to calm his wrath. Sacrifices? Yes. They say they used to wrap a living person up in bamboo mats and let them slowly sink down into a bottomless swamp. Takano-san, explaining something pretty terrible, has a look of glee on her face as she did so. As far as I can glean from the literature, it actually took 3 days and 3 nights for them to sink. Jesus Christ! So even people a long time ago liked symbolism. As the body sank, Oyashiro-sama's anger would be quelled. Well, the person frickin' sinking wouldn't. Like, you fucking goddamn crazy bastards! Both were submerged into the deep. Takano-san was the only one laughing at this. Was she telling a joke or something? You morbid person! Shion didn't move to deny it, but I felt a difference in temperature between her cool expression and Takano's hands. This whole conversation, well, I think you can imagine after hearing it, but it's the secret history of Higurashi. Everyone who has been in Higurashi for a long time knows it, but they don't talk about it.
Takano-san's not from here, but she knows quite a lot. She really likes local history, folk legends, stuff like that. She learned about it all by herself, too.
I'm really not all that amazing. Just curious, that's all. Like a child. I just want to see scary things for the fun of it.
Some Takano-san laughed a little bit embarrassed. Wait a minute. What does that mean? All people who disappeared during the instance. They're saying they offered as a sacrifice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was giving it the Mion voice, but it's Shion. Shion answers in one word before anyone else can speak. Someone dies and someone disappears.
But if the person that disappears is like put in the swamp, then doesn't that mean 2 people die?
Whether they actually get sacrificed or not is a different issue. But every time something happened in the past, one person died and one other person disappeared. For example, the first one by the dam site manager was killed. Apparently one of the people responsible for that still hasn't been arrested. Couldn't that just mean he managed to get away? I don't see why you should treat him as a sacrifice. Well, that's officially what I think too. There was also the year after that with the lead of the dam performance. You said he fell from a cliff and died while on vacation, right?
Apparently his wife fell as well. The police investigated fervently, but they were never able to find the wife's corpse.
The river under the cliff was actually pretty high at the time, though. She could have just been buried under the sand at the bottom of some lake downstream or something.
The perpetrator of dismemberment like that wouldn't want to be caught, so they'd be desperate to run away and hide too. I thought I'd heard about cases where the corpse wouldn't surface after the person drowned in a swelled river like that.
That just remind me. I can't remember what it was. I remember reading about like someone. I think they were like a thief or something like that, a burglar, and like I can't remember, but they apparently like tried to hide in a lake or something from the authorities, and ended up getting eaten by an alligator. I mean, what a way to go that is. I thought I'd heard about cases where the corpse wouldn't surface after the person drowned in a swelled river like that. That's because of an unfortunate accident, but I still didn't see the connection to sacrifices. If you took each of the past instances in turn, none of the disappearances evoked that terrifying of an image.
The year after that, where the priest steadily falling ill and dying, is much clearer. His wife left a suicide note. He found it in their house the night the priest died. Said something along the lines of her quelling Oyashiro-sama's wrath through her death.
Curse, it seems to turn up in this one, though. Well, we may never know the truth of the matter. The swamp the wife drowned herself in was the giant bottomless one Takano mentioned before. The police investigated, but all they could find were several of her possessions. They never found the corpse. The police suspected it was a fake suicide, and they're still investigating it now. Someone dies every year, and in the same way, someone goes missing every year. Is she trying to tell me that everyone who vanished was kidnapped by some extremely efficient means and dumped into the bottom of the swamp, still alive and drowned to death? Ooh, that sounds horrifying. But of course, that's unbelievable in its own right.
And the next year, what was it? The dam proponent's...
who's speaking? Dam proponent's sister-in-law. She was killed. And the same way someone
disappeared. It was a boy named my age named Satoshi Hojo. He's a nephew by marriage of the woman killed. Shion cut in with a slightly strong tone of voice. She knew the boy who had disappeared pretty well. At least that's the vibe I was getting. Well, that about sums everything up. One person always dies, and one person always suddenly disappears. Leaving the suddenness aside, the fact that each instant involved one person disappearing. And he didn't even pick up on the last name there, did he? So that means the first person who dies is because Oyashiro-sama's curse. The second person who vanishes is because the village sacrifices them. Villagers, I mean. Is that it? Keiichi is no curse. Somebody kills the first person under the guise of a curse, and someone takes away the second person to be a sacrifice.
Shion, that means a criminal is in the village.
That's what I've been guessing from the start. It's pretty shocking though, you know. We live in the Showa period. It's kind of hard to believe people will commit murder like it's nothing, using some ancient justifications, huh?
It didn't have anything to do with our discussion, but I got the feeling that maybe Shion didn't like Himizawa very much. Mion enjoyed talking about Himizawa and its epic tales, so she had avoided talking about Oyashiro-sama's curse, which didn't paint Himizawa in a good light no matter how you looked at it. She was trying not to give me a bad impression of the village, so she didn't say anything. Shion, on the other hand, was somehow different. She wasn't rejecting the concept of a curse to purge Himizawa of this bad impression, but rather because she strongly believed that a member of the village was the criminal behind this. Her conviction seemed a bit removed from the tight sense of community held by people in Himizawa. Once upon a time they looked so alike you could mistake one for the other. But talking to her now, I was getting the powerful feeling that Shion had a completely different personality than Mion. Than everyone else, they all think someone from Himizawa did it, right? Well, Shion no Takano-san answered that. The deafening silence told me all that needed to be said. Then, let me ask another question. If someone from Himizawa is the culprit, then who is it? Now, Shion no Takano-san had a reply to that question, however. Though it may have been rude to ask, I had hoped they wouldn't have one. The reason I asked was to argue that the explanation that the culprit was from Himizawa was nothing more than one possibility. Shion caught on to my plan. She gave a pained smile at my petty spite and opened her mouth to speak.
All I said really just amounts to circumstantial evidence anyway. If any of us knew who it really was, we'd have gotten them into police hands already.
As would anybody. Then what about Takano-san?
She too smiled dryly as Shion and opened her own mouth. Well, I'd like to clear one thing up. I'm not a detective or anything, alright? In all honesty, I'm not really interested in who the culprit is.
Takano-san, you sure are a handful. Tomitake-san gives a bitter laugh at her surprising opinion on the matter.
You see, I just like cruel and atrocious ancient traditions and fairy tales. I only enjoy them from a curious onlooker's perspective. So even for the string of innocents, it's not so much finding out who the culprit is, but enjoying thinking about how the old traditions displayed by the incidents themselves still seems to have some pretty deep roots around here.
Well, she described herself as nothing more than a curious onlooker. Her smile was as sharp as the tip of a blade. Women like her felt very strange and a little scary to me. Maybe it's just that I was in fearful awe of the person whose emotions I couldn't comprehend.
Well, I don't think any of this is interesting at all. Watanagashi Festival is coming up tomorrow, but I don't want anyone to die or disappear.
Tomorrow, huh? That's right. It had completely slipped my mind. The string of murder incidents people attributed to Oyashiro-sama's curse, it wasn't over. If last year's incident wasn't the end, then tomorrow night at the festival. Would someone die and someone disappear?
I do wonder who will die tomorrow and who will disappear, though.
Takano-san said, running a comb through her hair with elegant movements, with a thin smile and a voice that nearly made me shudder. She almost looked like she was enjoying the thought of the incidents that could happen tomorrow. Then out of the blue we heard a loud round of applause as they seemed to be ending the drinking party early. Right, it was making me on wait this whole time, wasn't I? I should go back there soon. You're teasing the kid too much, Takano-san. How Keiichi-kun thinks it's all true. Kind of like the last time we told about it, remember that?
I apologize. It's that bad habit of mine again,
said Takano-san, sitting out her tongue bashfully. The strangeness in her expression was nowhere to be found. When Takano-san sees an innocent child like you, she can't help wanting to poke fun at them. It's a real bad habit. Keiichi-kun, you listened to everything so innocently that she ended up getting carried away. Unlike Takano-san, Tomitake-san seemed like a totally normal person with common sense. They were apologizing after realizing what kind of impression they'd given me. Stuff Takano-san just said is all fiction. Well, of course, this is like a novel, but still, within the context of the novel, anyway. If it made you harbor any bad impressions about Himizawa, then we apologize for that. Although, remember, like, they make that kind of disclaimer kind of thing at the start where it's like, any resemblance to things in real life are purely coincidental and blah blah blah. Like, so if there is a curse like this, it's just like coincidence. Geez, Hiro-san. You apologize too, Takano-san. Tell him you're sorry for scaring him. Takano-san and Tomitake-san were arguing and messing around now. The stream there around us had already just dissipated. Keiichi-chan, you should get going soon too. Mion is the jealous type. If she sees me, she'll probably start a fight, so I'll just be going home. Really? Then I'll go see what Mion's doing and apologize for making her wait, I guess. Sorry for being such a nuisance, Keiichi. Could you tell Mion-chan we're sorry for bothering you for so long? Yes, I don't think telling her will make her feel any better, but sure. Tomitake-san and Takano-san standing next to each other both began to chuckle. Okay then, Keiichi-chan. Let's try and run into each other at tomorrow's festival. We'll see each other, I mean, that's what we're talking about after all. We'll be making so much trouble it'll be hard for you not to find us. Shion and I said our goodbyes to Tomitake-san and Takano-san. Well, we could leave, Takano-san called out to me. Thanks for listening so earnestly to what I had to say. You're just so good at listening. I had a great time talking to you. Good at listening? No, not at all. I was just in a state of perpetual bewilderment from all the shocking topics being shown at me one after another. Did you like my story today? Well, it's pretty interesting. Then I'll tell you some more sometime, okay? There's a lot of pretty interesting legends and fairy tales about Indies Island. Of course, a lot of strange and creepy ones too. I'll choose a bunch of my favorites and tell you about them. I find it kind of interesting, though. I mean, that's how you do things in fiction. Like, well, not. It's like sometimes you can like do it poorly, and sometimes you can do it just right. And I think like Higurashi does it just right, where they create this fictional village and they build up this kind of folklore, this history, and like this curse thing, and like the vagueness of it all this kind of stuff that makes it like just seem like a real village when it's just fictional. It gives it life, doesn't it? Rather than just being a one-dimensional village that's kind of there. Yeah, I was kind of happy but kind of worried. I can't help but smile dryly and scratching my head. Keiichi-kun, you can go now. Takano-san is just messing with you. They say goodbye again and run out. I heard Tomitake-san call out behind him in a clear voice that we would see each other at the festival tomorrow. When I went to the tent, Mion was waiting for me, and she was nowhere to be found. I made her wait so long, I just got mad and went home. After asking some adults passing by, I heard that she went home, talking to some relatives. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, maybe not. But my regret for having made Mion wait wasn't enough to triumph over the impression Takano-san and Shion's uncanny story left on me. Still, murder instance had happened 4 years in a row, with tomorrow's event make the last the 5th, and the possibility that someone from Indonesia was carrying this all out under the guise of a curse. The weird tradition of ritual sacrifice entirely unbecoming of the Showa period we lived in. I regretted a little that it was too late. If none of these creepy stories had anything to do with me, then I should have let Mion pull me away from the crowd. See? It's like, if only Mion had gone with Mion instead. I felt a little ashamed about letting my cheap curiosity get the better of me. That, and you probably put a bit of a strain on the relationship again, Keiichi. Higurashi when they come. Oh my god, that's 4 tips. Steamer like a little elbow grease. Hopefully the elbow grease did not go into that barley tea. Anyways, hour 43 minutes. That's a long recording. So I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.